Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a scenario that may sound shocking, but it's one that financial experts say is worth thinking about seriously. Imagine this: what would happen if Social Security benefits were cut in half? It's a terrifying thought, especially when you consider how many Americans depend on this income to make ends meet in retirement. While this isn't an official plan and no such cuts have been announced, the possibility of Social Security changes has been circulating for years, especially in discussions about the program's long-term solvency. So let's break it all down. How would such a drastic change affect retirees now and in the future? Who would be hit the hardest? What would it mean for the broader economy? And what can you do now to prepare for the worst-case scenario? First, it's important to understand what Social Security really is. It's not just a monthly check. It's a promise. A promise made decades ago to support Americans in their retirement years and protect vulnerable populations like disabled workers and surviving spouses. According to George Carrillo, CEO of the Hispanic Construction Council and a former director of Social Determinants of Health for Oregon, Social Security represents dignity and security for millions. Now, imagine taking that promise and slicing it in half. Currently, the average monthly benefit stands at $1,920. If that were cut to $960, it would devastate many retirees who rely heavily on Social Security for their day-to-day expenses. Things like food, rent, medication, and utilities. For some, Social Security makes up more than 90% of their income. This isn't about trimming excess or tightening belts. It's about survival. While most retirees would feel the effects of a 50% cut, it wouldn't be evenly distributed. Those most at risk would include low-income seniors, individuals with disabilities, and especially women and minorities. Let's talk about women first. Statistically, women live longer than men and earn less over their lifetimes, which means they already receive smaller monthly checks. For elderly women, especially widows and those living alone, a cut of this size could be catastrophic. It could force painful choices between buying groceries or filling prescriptions, keeping the lights on, or seeing a doctor. Then there's the issue of systemic inequality. Black and Hispanic retirees are more likely to rely on Social Security as their primary or sole source of income. For these groups, a 50% cut would not just be a financial burden. It would deepen existing disparities in retirement security, health, and overall quality of life. According to Carrillo, the effects wouldn't just be emotional, they would be structural and widespread. You might be thinking, okay, this sounds terrible for individuals, but what about the bigger picture? Well, the truth is, when retirees suffer, the economy suffers too. Older Americans contribute significantly to consumer spending. They pay rent, shop for groceries, fill prescriptions, eat at restaurants, and support local businesses. When their income drops, that spending dries up, and the ripple effects are felt throughout the economy. We'd likely see more evictions, more missed medical appointments, more pressure on food banks and community organizations. And let's not forget about the emotional toll on younger generations who may need to step in and support aging family members. Worse still, if millions of seniors can't meet their basic needs, they'll likely turn to other government programs, things like Medicaid, housing assistance, and welfare. So while cutting Social Security may save money in one area, it could increase demand and spending in others. At this point, you might be wondering, is there anything we can do about it? The experts say yes, and the answer starts with planning. Kristen Petersmark, a national Social Security advisor, says that it's wise to prepare as if you won't receive any Social Security income at all in the future. That means increasing your savings today and focusing on retirement strategies that don't rely solely on government programs. If benefits aren't cut, that's great, you'll have more money than expected. But if they are, you'll be better positioned to weather the storm. So what does that look like? Start by contributing as much as you can to retirement accounts like 401k, Roth IRAs, or traditional IRAs. Maximize employer matches if available. Eliminate high-interest debt so you're not burdened by payments in retirement. And diversify your income streams, whether it's through investments, side gigs, rental income, or part-time work. The goal is to build a personal safety net that doesn't depend on the government's promises. So why are we even talking about this? Is Social Security really in danger? Well, here's the thing. the Social Security Trust Fund is running out of money. Current projections suggest it could be depleted by the mid-2030s if no changes are made. If that happens, the program could only pay out what it collects in taxes, which is about 75% of promised benefits. To fix that, lawmakers have several options. They could raise the retirement age, increase the payroll tax rate, reduce benefits for high earners, or raise the cap on taxable income. But none of those changes are easy, and none are politically popular. That's why the possibility of across-the-board cuts remains on the table, at least as a worst-case scenario. And as we've seen with the recent moves by the Department of Government Efficiency under Elon Musk's leadership, including mass layoffs at the SSA, there's concern that administrative changes might lead to service disruptions, reduced access, and long-term harm to the system's credibility. It's no wonder people are worried. Despite the grim possibilities, there is reason for hope. Social Security is politically protected for a reason. Voters care deeply about it. In fact, support for the program is one of the few issues that cuts across party lines. Most Americans, regardless of age, income, or political affiliation, don't want to see benefits reduced. That gives lawmakers a strong incentive to protect the program. But it also means we as citizens need to stay engaged. If you care about Social Security, let your elected officials know. Support policies that strengthen the program's funding. Advocate for fairness and equity in how benefits are distributed. And most importantly, educate yourself and others about what's at stake. Let's wrap this up. A 50% cut to Social Security would be devastating for individuals, families, and the broader economy. It would hit the most vulnerable Americans the hardest and ripple out into every corner of society. But it's not inevitable. With smart planning, political action, and a clear understanding of the challenges ahead, we can work toward a future where Social Security remains a reliable source of income for all retirees. So take the time to assess your own financial plan. Save more, diversify your income, and stay informed because what happens to Social Security will affect us all sooner or later. Thanks for tuning in today. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. And as always, drop your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think should be done about Social Security's future? Are you worried? Or are you confident that the system will hold strong? We'll see you next time. Stay safe, stay informed, and take care.